Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. You are going to be so happy that you are here. I have an incredible guest today, Camey Joy. Her name fits her. Joy is surrounding her. You look at her and that's all you see is joy. She just exudes it. And there are very few people in the world, I notice, that are like that. But Camey is very unique. Her story is going to blow you away. Before we take any more time, Camey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. You're an author, you're a singer, you are a huge advocate of adoption. You do so many incredible things. You're a mama, you're a wife, you do wonderful things in life, and you are spreading the news now of how great adoption can be because of your own story. So you were born in the mountains in Guatemala, not a place a lot of people want to be born, but not only were you born into poverty, into a really tough situation, but physically a tough situation where you shouldn't even have made it. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I was born in the mountains of Guatemala, and I was born with a bilateral cleft lip and cleft palate. That's where you're born without a lip, and in the roof of your mouth, you have a hole. And because of this, I wasn't able to eat, to nurse, and I should have died, but the Lord had a different plan. And so that's where my story began, but thankfully, that's not where it ended.
Yeah, right. Well, and you had biological parents who obviously loved you a lot and wanted you to survive. So very courageous. And so what did they do when you were?
Yeah. Yes, I am so thankful because they fought for me. You know, being born in a third world country, a lot of times a deformity is considered a shame upon the family, and sometimes children are thrown out to die, and that could have been where my story ended. But because of my biological father, Jesus, his great love, he wrapped me in a blanket and carried me down a mountain to the nearest hospital. And whenever he came in to show me to get me help, the doctor took one look at me and he said, "I'm sorry, sir, but you don't have enough money, and even if you did, we wouldn't even know how to perform the surgery." And Jesus walked out of that hospital and he sat on the stairs and he began to weep over my life because he knew that I was going to die. And two men out of nowhere came up and said, "Sir, why are you crying?" And it was in between all the sobs that he pulled back the blanket from my face, and the two men saw the deformity and they said, "There is hope." And they led Jesus and I on a journey to an orphanage. And it was there that I survived, that I was able to live, and I had an opportunity to go to the United States for surgery. But you know, I think the coolest part of the story is that whenever Jesus brought me to the orphanage, he turned around to say thank you, and the two men were not there. And Angie, the owner, said, "You both came alone." So I believe that that was a divine intervention over my life.
I love that. Angels unaware, as they say, right? Yeah, that is so incredible. And I love it that your biological dad's name is Jesus, right?
Yeah. It's really special because his name is Jesus, and then my adoptive dad's name is Ray. So I have Jesus and King, because when you translate Ray into Spanish, it's King.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And isn't God just so cool? Like
Yeah.
anything could have happened, but here you are. And one thing that I think that is so special about you is that things happen to people in their life, and it's not always the things that happen. It's what you do with what happens in your life. And for you to recognize that, wow, this is God wants me here. This is a God thing. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing the things that I'm doing. And so then you went to the United States and for your surgery, and ended up being adopted by this wonderful family that you adore.
Yes, yes. So I had the opportunity to come to the United States. You know, the enemy was trying to take me out from the beginning. He didn't want for me to survive. He didn't want for me to have the story. But I love how God always weaves and is able to redeem, you know, take something that was meant for evil and turn it into something good. And here in the United States, I've had over 23 surgeries, some of them major, some of them minor. They're all major for me. And, you know, when I was a young girl, the doctors were very hard with me, you know, they told me I wouldn't be able to speak. I would have to have tubes in my ears. But, you know, throughout all my surgeries, I came across some loving doctors who actually spoke life into me. And there was a call on my life since I was young, and that God told me one day, Camey, you're going to travel around the world, you're going to sing, and you're going to tell others that Jesus is real and that he still does miracles today. And it was from that moment that I started to speak. I started to sing, even though it was difficult for people to understand me.
Wow, wow. But to have that in your heart and then to walk it out is amazing. And you were so young. Weren't you like 5 years old when you were all of a sudden, you know what? I'm going to be doing this, mom and dad. Like, guess what?
Yes, yes. And, you know, they could have, my parents, you know, could have been like, absolutely not, because I really could not speak. But it was that encouragement and the faith of a mom to like speak that into and over me and, you know, let God do the rest. But I wanted for it to happen all at once. I wanted to travel the world when I was 6 years old, but it didn't happen until I was 14 that the Lord did open up the doors for me to travel around the world and share His story.
Wow. It's so incredible. And it's so incredible the way everything transpired for you that you, that Jesus cared and loved you so much that he took you, and then these angels, God appeared and brought you to this place, and then you end up in the United States where surgery is possible. You know, in so many countries it is not, and there are incredible organizations, one I know that you're involved with, that does go to places where surgery is not available but helps people. Because like what you said early on, that when you have something that makes you look different than everybody else, it can be a sign of a curse on the family or a sign of something bad about you. And which isn't the case. I mean, we know that, but it's a tough thing to be somebody in a country where things are not as possible as they are here, and live with scars and live with things that make you look different.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, I have so many scars, like so many to even count. But, you know, truthfully, it was the internal scars that are the true wounds of my heart that took longer to heal. But I'm so thankful. Now I can look back and say I'm so thankful for the scars because it shows people where I've been, but I overcame and I have a scar to prove it. And it's not where I've been, but it's where I'm going. And as you mentioned, the doctors that worked on me, Dr. Craig Hobar and his team is called LEAP, LEAP, and they go into third world countries and they perform surgeries, cranial facial surgeries on children for free. And it is such a beautiful thing of what they're doing. I'm so grateful to them.
And it's absolutely life changing for a
Yes.
child to receive a surgery, that it just changes everything for them. Their destiny is completely different than it would be without the surgery. It's such a wonderful organization. Everyone should support it. It is just fabulous. And I love that you're a part of it, because you know how important it is and how transformational it is. So here you are, you're doing all these things and you're doing it with a smile on your face. It had to be hard as a kid. All these surgeries, I imagine you missed school, you missed some things and some childhood things. What was that like for you?
Yeah, you know, I did. I missed school, and so a lot of times I would go back to school and I was behind. They were reading and I'm learning how to, sound out words. And so I always felt a little behind, but I was always determined, like, I can do this. And I'm so thankful again for people, especially my parents, my family. They always cheered me on, like, Cammy, you can do it. And being born with a cleft, as a young girl, kids were pretty awesome. I mean, they would kind of ask me, hey, you have a couple of scars. What happened to you? And I would tell them I was born with a bilateral cleft lip, explain it, and they're like, all right, that's great, and move along. But sometimes it was the adults that were really hard, that because I didn't speak properly, they would assume, that I had a mental disability or treat me very, very unkindly. And so definitely difficult times, but I'm so thankful that I was able to stand, and I'm a little spitfire that I just kept on going with my head up.
Yeah, that's so good because that can be so difficult when people are making fun of you or making assumptions about you that aren't true, or somehow making you seem like you're less than anybody else in the world when it's so not the case. I mean, we're all created in his image. We are
Yeah.
all beautifully and wonderfully made. We are all of equal standing in his eyes, which is high standing. God just loves each one of us so much. And whenever anybody makes somebody feel like they're less than, I just always feel so bad about that. And you could have gone a couple different ways with that, because you could have taken that in and thought, well, I guess I am. I am what they tell me I am. But instead, you deflected it. I mean, that takes courage. It takes maturity beyond your years at the time when you're a kid. I mean, what do you think played into all that for you?
You know, for me, I just would take one step at a time. And, there was a time when I did see myself through the world's lens, and I would get focused on myself and my scars and the way I spoke, my deformity. But my mom and my dad, they always said, Cammy, and it sounded harsh at the time, but they were like, Cammy, get your eyes off of yourself. It's not about you. And I'm like, you want to, but it was a moment in my life, and I write about it in my memoir, but where I was able to take Jesus back with me into the wounds. And there it was that I saw true healing, that I was able to not focus on my wounds, but I saw his beautiful scars and his scarred hands that paid the price. And I'm just so thankful for that visual, that I knew that God was actually holding me during those difficult times.
Wow. Oh, that's so incredible. God is just really cool that way, that he'll step up. I mean, obviously, he's there for us always, anytime. But to make his presence just really known to you, and for you to know that he exists, that he's there, and you can feel his presence anytime you want. I mean, that good for you. I mean, that's so incredible. And then you wrote this beautiful, beautiful memoir telling about your story, the pain of your story, as well as the hope, the
Mm.
courage, the love. And what was it like for you to write it, and why did you want to?
You know, I saw my the way that it started was that I saw my story being played out on the movie screen, and it was there that I started writing. And it was a very healing. It was kind of difficult at times to go back into the hard moments, but it was healing. And I realized that, we all have scars. My mom once told me, Cammy, we're all born with a cleft. And I looked at her like she was crazy, but she's like, we are all born with a heart separation, and that we all need Jesus, a great physician, to be our healer and heal our wound, heal that hole. And I want for people to know that your scars, we all have scars, and that your scars are worthy of the Lord's grace. and that there's healing and there's redemption, and that it's going to be beautiful.
Wow. Wow. That is so generous, honestly, of you to want to help other people that way. And I know that this book is going to touch a lot of lives and help a lot of people. I encourage everybody to buy Beautifully Scarred. It is a gorgeous book. It is so heartfelt and so touching. I love what you've done. I thank you so much for it, because I know that so many people will be helped. And if you know anybody, people that are listening, that could use this book, send it to them. Send it to them. What a beautiful gift to give to somebody. Lots of people, unfortunately, share your story in some ways, not your entire story, but still, like you said, a lot of people have scars, and it's what you do with them. And you've done beautiful things. You've turned your scars into beauty. And so thank you so much. And thanks for being with me today. I so appreciate you, Camey.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. What a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for joining us today. And I just pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.